This Tar Heel Illustrated publisher Andrew Jones coming to you from Keenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, home of the football Tar Heels. And with me, as he most always is staff writer Jacob Turner. And Jacob, today we had Mack Brown's press conference, Phil Longo and Jay Bateman, the two coordinators, their press conferences as we do every Monday. There was a lot of stuff that they discussed. Mack's was 25 minutes, Bateman's was like 13, Longo's was like 15. We're not going to break it down, go nitty-gritty in what they had to say. We're going to pick out a couple of the fun things, the interesting things that they had to talk about today that kind of caught our attention. And before we do that, very quickly want to remind you to go to TarHeelIllustrated.com. We have an amazing ongoing deal for you. Sign up for free. You get access to everything on our site through October 5th, which is the Georgia Tech game. And then sign up. $99, get a 1-year subscription, full premium access. We're going to give you 6 months for free on top of that. So go to TarHeelIllustrated.com, check us out, sign up, watch everything, read everything we do for free for the next 5 weeks. It is.
Yeah, it's a great deal.
And then you get 1 year, and then you get 6 months free. It's an awesome deal. The thing that probably, of all the stuff that we heard today, and there was a lot of great stuff today.
There was.
The thing that I'm kind of stuck with me a little bit is that they're still celebrating the win. I have been doing, this is my 24th year doing this, Jacob. I've covered, I have no clue how many Monday press conferences. Win or lose, every coach says, we put the game to bed. We put the game to bed Sunday. It's behind us. It's in the back pocket. It's no longer in our thought process. We're thinking about X, Y, Z, U that's coming up next. Well, Miami's coming up next for Carolina in 5 days. They're going to be in this stadium, full house. The place is going to be buzzing. But Mack said it's okay. Today's their day off. They can still think about South Carolina. And I think the reason is because these kids been through so much. They won 5 games the last 2 years. The reality going into South Carolina is in the previous 27 games, they won 6 times. 3 of them were over FCS teams, and one of the 3 FBS wins was at Old Dominion, which was transitioning at the time. The 2 other wins were Pittsburgh by less than a touchdown or a touchdown in that range. Pittsburgh, for some reason, can't beat UNC since it joined the ACC, and that's it. And it's not just the losing; it's the way they lost. They lost so many games in the fourth quarter last year and the year before. They had so many injuries where guys that started games didn't finish games, and they had to patch things together. And I think the morale just died. They had the shoe gate. They had all kinds of different stuff going on last year that they never really got the vibe up where it needed to be. On Saturday, they had to piece things together on defense. They had to win a game in the fourth quarter. They had to win a game that they made mistakes in. They overcame their own mistakes, and they got to win. They ended the 11-year streak in in season openers against Power 5 teams and all that kind of stuff. So Mack's like, these guys deserve to celebrate. Let them feel good about this. They showed them the film Sunday. They showed them all the things that went wrong, the penalties, special teams, some other blunders, some misreads, that kind of thing. But you guys won. You beat South Carolina. You beat an SEC team. Celebrate it. Own it. They had a great meal last night. You know, lobster or crabs and steak and all kinds of stuff. Today's the day off. Tuesday morning, meetings at 6:30, practice at 8. Full on Miami. I think it's interesting that he's letting them kind of absorb this and soak it in.
Yeah, I think at first in the press conference when he said they were still celebrating, I was a little bit surprised. Just because Matt kind of mentioned, I think it was after the game, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he made it a point of emphasis of, hey, we're going to enjoy this for about 24 hours, if that, and then we're going to refocus on Miami. But then after kind of digesting the press conference, sitting around for a little bit, working on what we were working on and all the coverage of it, I kind of thought to myself that, hey, when you look at the emotion Mack Brown had on Saturday after the win, I'm not really surprised to see that he's kind of letting this team do it. I mean, in the post-game interview on ESPN, he teared up a little bit. He was as enthusiastic as I've ever seen him in his post-game press conference. So, I mean, not only did it mean a lot to these kids, but I think it meant a lot to him personally. I mean, Carolina hadn't won a season opener against a Power 5 team since 1997. When he was here, he comes back, and they do it in the first game, first year. And you could just see the emotion he had. So, like I said, at first I was a little surprised that he said that. And then after I thought about it for a little bit, I was like, hey, I mean, these guys have been through a lot, what they've been through over the past 2 seasons. And now they get that win in the way in which they do it late in the fourth quarter when in so many games, so many years previous, that's how they had always lost games. And now he lets them have it. He lets them enjoy it. They have the meal last night that made me hungry as soon as you mentioned him. I think my stomach gurgled. You might be able to catch that on the audio. But I was a little bit surprised. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit surprised to hear him say that. But, I mean, when you really consider everything this team's been through, like you mentioned, not surprised. All the emotion Mack Brown had after the game. I think they kind of deserve to enjoy it for a little bit.
People need to understand the coaches celebrated for not even 24 hours probably. They had practice at 3 o'clock Sunday. And then the coaches afterward began their Miami prep. So by the time the kids show up Tuesday morning, everything they need to know about Miami is going to be there. The coaches will have done all that part of it. I think it's cool. Max said these kids need to have fun. They're here to have fun too. He said he came back to have fun, which is why he's dancing in the locker room. We'll get on that in a second, which is why there's a turnover belt. We'll get on that in a second. And allow them to enjoy the fruits of their labor. Get an attaboy on campus. Watch Sports Center show Mack Browns catch 500 times.
Number one, yeah.
These guys have been the butts of jokes for a couple of years, if they were even on the radar, and even in that respect. They haven't been on the radar. They got no respect from South Carolina. If you see some of the comments that we've gotten on some of the stuff we've thrown out there, clearly there was no respect. They earned the win. They were the better team. 210 more yards, 213 more yards of offense. You're the better team. South Carolina had chances. They didn't take advantage of it. North Carolina did take advantage of its chances. So celebrate.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Now, a couple other things we want to get on before this is going to be a short video here. Max dancing or the belt? Let's go Max dancing first, because we get in with the belt. Look, I'm never going to show you my dancing because we don't win or lose here. Okay?
Yeah, sure.
There's no bets. You're not going to say, hey, AJ, if you write a full story with no typos, then you have to dance for us. That's not going to happen, okay? I love how he owned that today. He told them they want him to dance for you. I'm not going to dance for you. I'm not going to dance for you. But then he promised them, if you beat South Carolina, then I'll dance. And as soon as he walked in the locker room, they're all yelling, dance, dance, dance. And he did. He ad-libbed the whole thing, which he did a combination of about 3 or 4 dances. And I think it's a great thing. I know we see Roy do that all the time. The kids love it. You know, when you're an older coach, and Mack turned 68 last week, you're doing that stuff with him, you're showing the kids that you're connecting with them and that you're willing to connect with them. And I think that that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, and it gives you a cool insight into Mack Brown's personality and who he is. I mean, it kind of reminded me of like a dad with their son moment. Like, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do that, but hey, if you do this, then I'll do it kind of thing. It was like a reward system kind of thing for Mack Brown. So it was a cool play of the cards by him.
That's a good way
to put it. I mean, he was a little critical of the dancing. I didn't mind it. I thought it was all right.
I thought it was terrible.
You didn't like it?
But that's what made it great.
Yeah, that's a good way
for some of the older
I thought it was all right.
For some of the older people watching right now, Roadhouse is an awful movie. But it's so bad it's funny, right? It's so bad it's great in that respect, right? Mack Brown's dancing was terrible, but it's better than mine. I guarantee it's a lot better than mine. And that's what made it great. The willingness made it great. The fact that he was engaging with those kids and connecting with them made it great. The quality of the dancing's not going to earn him any points, and that's also what made it great.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
That because he didn't want to do it because he knew he can't dance.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like I'm never going to dance because I know I suck at dancing.
But it was good to see him display that level of emotion in the locker room because, like I mentioned earlier, you know how much it meant to him in that win, and it went from tears to being so excited in the post game press conference. Then you see him dancing, which happened before, obviously. But it was just a cool thing to see. It was a cool thing to get an insight into kind of the person he is because we all know the personality Mack Brown has. You can kind of see it in his interviews, press conferences, the way he just talks to people. But we haven't really seen that side of his personality.
No.
Not that side.
We've seen the CEO guy with a little self-effacing humor, which is kind of good. I think it's important when you go into a situation like this, if it is a part of your personality, to just show that part of your personality because a lot of us didn't know what to think when he got the job. We didn't know if he's going to come in like, oh goodness, college football Hall of Famer, national champion, this guy is coming back to save the program. There's not going to be much transparency. They're only going to give us what they want to give us, a little bit here and there, and he's going to be ultra serious. He's ultra serious, but he also understands, like he said the other day in the post-game press conference, this is entertainment too. And he understands with this program being the way it's been, the more transparency, the more access you give the media, the more stuff that's out there. The more videos we do from campus, the more pieces that we write, the more regular updates we have on what's going on with the team, so people are going to be more interested. And we're seeing that play out, and his understanding that it's not just football, it's not just X's and O's and going out and getting Jimmys and Joes. There's so many other prongs to running a program like this, to being the CEO, and I know he doesn't like that term, but he is the CEO.
He is.
And then some, and now I guess he's the resident dancer. And he's also a guy who has embraced the turnover belt. a lot. The turnover chain at Miami started just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, Miami's the one who started.
And a lot of people thought, well, I guess if any school can get away with doing that, it's Miami.
Yeah, and now
everybody's doing stuff now, and I'm sure a lot of folks, Carolina fans, thinking Carolina with a turnover belt. That's not Carolina. Like, well, it is, because it's the way it is now. It's the way college football is now. Mack Brown's fully embraced it. He said he came back to have fun. To win and to have fun and to mentor young people, and it's supposed to be fun, so let them celebrate. He even made reference today, the second time I guess it was that Myles Wolfolk got the interception, he didn't know what to do the first time.
No, yeah, he just
but the second time he's hoisting it up to the fans and he's bringing the attention on himself. He deserves it. Yeah. 2 interceptions, he had fun. This is supposed to be fun. I think it was too stressful around here the last couple of years. It was too much. I use this term a lot, as Jacob knows. So many football coaches I've covered, they act like they're planning the D-Day invasion 365 days a year. And that's not what it is. It's football.
It's
These
serious,
are college
but it's not
kids.
that serious.
They need to have fun. And I think it's so cool that he's allowing them to do these things. You may not like the belt, but get used to it and accept it because it's here to stay. And it's a Dre Bly thing, too. So maybe that'll make you like it a little bit more.
And I think it kind of shows the evolution in his personality as well, being out of coaching for, 6 years and before he was at Texas. Because you probably remember during the press conference, I'm sure our listeners have heard it too if they listened to his press conference after the South Carolina game, but he said, I remember when he was talking about Sally and referencing that, hey, she was like, if you're going back into coaching and you win by 21 points, you're not going to come in here mad all the time just because, these things didn't go well. Even he mentioned that. Yeah. And I think you're starting to see, I don't know if Mack Brown in 2005 has a turnover chain. I don't know if you see him dancing in the locker room. Yeah. Maybe he did. There wasn't as many cameras around. Who knows? But to me, looking at it, I don't think you see that from him. And like you mentioned, it was too serious around here. You could feel it in the air, and you can just feel how the vibe is a lot different now. Now, granted, Carolina's 1-0. Everything's gone the way it's supposed to since Mack Brown's come in, off and on the field so far. Yeah. We got to see what happens when Carolina loses. Carolina's not going to go 12-0 this year. At least I don't think. I don't think that's going to happen. I think we can all agree on that. So when things maybe they wouldn't lose a couple of games, whatever happens. But when those games start losing, that's when we're going to know more about this team. But right now, this team's having fun. I personally like the turnover belt. You got to understand, these are 18, 19-year-old kids in today's age, and it's just completely different than it was even 10 years ago. It's just what it is now.
I think these are all examples of why, if it's going to work, if people say these guys that go back and coach where they once coached to greatness before, it doesn't really work the second time. Maybe it's because when Joe Gibbs went back with the Redskins, Joe Gibbs didn't change. He was gone. He was in NASCAR. He wasn't even around football. And he didn't change. He was trying to win the second time around the way he won the first time around, and times had changed. Bill Snyder did somewhat the same thing at Kansas State. There are a lot of examples. Mack is different. If you talk to some of his former players, like the principles are still there. The principles that led him to the College Football Hall of Fame are still there. But he's changed. He understands that the kids have changed, times have changed, the way everything is done has changed. We're doing videos now. When I first got into this business, I would write my articles, send it to the newspaper, and show up the next morning.
Yeah, no videos.
Now, we're going to pop this video up probably not long after we finish recording this thing. Everything is different now. Mack recognizes that. He's a master at having his finger on the pulse of things like this, and they're very important to have a finger. It's very important to have a finger on the pulse of these things, because for a guy who turned 68 last week, he gets it. He's connected to these kids. He understands what they're all about, and I think that they get him too. It was a very quick transition for them to believe in him.
Yeah, for sure.
And that might not always be the case in a culture where maybe the older folks aren't as respected as much as they are in other cultures. And then I shouldn't be calling Mack an older folk.
Yeah, but
I think you understand my point.
Yeah, I think you understand.
And they did that here. And Mack's attitude, his personality, his embracing these things is such a huge part of the full picture here, because if it's laying bricks every day and chopping wood every day and the D-Day invasion every day, you may not get that next level from the kids as much as Mack might because of all this other stuff.
Yeah, and Mack said it. He says when kids are having fun, when kids are winning, they're easier to coach. And there's a balance. Don't get me wrong. There's a balance between having too much fun and being serious when it comes time to going out there and competing. Yep. And I think right now Carolina has that perfect balance. I thought what we saw on Saturday showed that, but the celebrations afterwards showed it even more. And don't get me wrong. This team is still celebrating a little bit, but come midweek, come even tomorrow, come tonight. 6:30. Yeah, the shift will completely switch from Miami, and if we had a Mack Brown press conference tomorrow, it would have been a completely different kind of vibe, I think, and the focus would have been a little bit different. But first win, it's been a while. Let them enjoy it. We'll see what happens this weekend. But right now, I mean, between the turnover chain, between his dancing, between the win, between what he said in today's press conference, I think
giant crab legs and big slabs of steak.
I mean, it's good to see.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Just think of how different it is from this time last year.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's pretty cool. Anyway, we're going to hit on Miami as we get into the week. We're going to hit on some other stuff in the next couple of videos that we do. I think we may have a surprise for you after we have our player interviews on Tuesday with who we're going to have on one of these videos.
Hopefully.
So it's not just going to be the two of us all the time. We're going to really branch out and do a lot of other neat stuff. And this was fun today. It's refreshing to see that things are a little bit different, and it gives us something different to talk about instead of always just X's and O's. For Jacob Turner, this is Andrew Jones. You're watching us, TarHeelIllustrated.com. Go check out our amazing deal, and don't forget to like this channel, like this video, subscribe to the channel, whatever you're supposed to do here on YouTube. Thanks.